Mao, ça tue, ça blesse, ça flingue. Hey, hey, hey.
Welcome back. Welcome back to the B and Me podcast, the best sports podcast in New Jersey. For those that are listening to this episode, we got a special guest on today. None other than two-time award winning, 250 total broadcasts completed. Drew Ivory in the building. How you doing?
I'm doing good. Appreciate you having me on, man. It's an honor to be here for sure.
I'm ecstatic that you are on. Happy to have Uncle Drew Ivory for those that are on threads that know him as such. Great, great having him on. I want to start off with this, right? So 250 broadcasts.
Hmm.
That's a lot. How are you feeling? Did you ever get a chance to like take a step back and really like assess that, yo, I've done 250? Because sometimes when you in the hustle and bustle of getting stuff done, you just working and don't even realize how much of an accomplishment and how much you've done up until a certain point.
I would say yes and no. Yes, because I keep track of it obviously, and that's how I know I was at 250. So I'm counting, specific, games, high school, college, and what sport that I was always doing. So I'm keeping track of it and kind of conscious where I'm at. And I did make my own post about the 250 as well. That's the first time. I usually have some help. Somebody else makes the graphic. They're always better than me. But so I did have like a second to kind of get into it, but also like the busy schedule at the same time. Like there's another game around the corner, still got to do that. So like I took it in. It's like awesome to look at the number in like 250. Like some people don't get to 250. Some people have no idea that they do that many games. They don't keep up with it like I do. So I took in what I could. I could probably still sit back like right now and take it in a little bit more because it really is something incredible. Because my first couple of years, I don't even think I got to 30 games, and it's just been turned up ever since. Like when I first got to South Dakota, it was like I think I did 56 in the bottom half of that first year here, and then it's been 90 in 2024. I did 89 last year, and you're gonna see if we can pass it this year, but everything just keeps on going and going. So I do my best to try and stay still and be in those moments, but sometimes it doesn't feel like you take enough time to really appreciate what it is. Like some of those, I'm thankful for, like my mom and my girlfriend. They sit back and appreciate it, and the people that haven't listened to a game before and be like, "Wow, Drew's at 250 already? Didn't he just start in like 2021?" It's like, yeah, I mean. So I do a little bit, and I wish I could do more, but I try to take it in as best I can. But it is an honor. It's crazy, and I'm looking forward to 300. Still going, still kicking.
Hey, those numbers you was dropping, that's crazy level of work, crazy level of commitment. And to do that many, like you said, a lot of people don't even hit that number. And it's obviously that you love it to continue to be doing it. What is your first like introduction to sports in general? Because for those that don't know, Drew talks everything: NBA, NFL, WNBA, whatever you could think of sports wise. Check him out on threads. He's talking about it. What was your first introduction to sports that had you fall in love with sports in general?
I would probably say back when I was like 4 or 5. I came into a family that likes Dallas sports. So, I mean, I grew up into Cowboys, into Mavericks, into Rangers, and Longhorns, Texas Longhorns. So that's what I was kind of born into. But like the real introduction is when my mom began taking me to Texas Ranger games, and we went when I was like 4 or 5. It was in the years of Pudge Rodriguez. So we were big fans of his, one of the best catchers all time, Hall of Famer. And we got to go out to those. My memories are vivid of being there, but we got a couple of baseballs. It's like, oh, yep, well, you were there. We got this baseball here. Don't forget that when you were 4 or 5, we were at these Rangers games watching Pudge get it in. So, but that's the real introduction, getting to go to the live games in the beginning, because there's so much you catch on TV. There's so much you catch through word of mouth over the years and things like that. But like I think going to a game really gets you in to the sport, and like that's where the love begins. That's a lot of people can say that about the atmosphere for WNBA too. Like they try to get into the fandom, but then they go to a game, they realize like what it's all about. And I think baseball did that for me early, and I've gotten to do a lot of baseball in my career as well as play it when I was younger. So baseball kind of started off for. It's not the favorite or it's not the primary for me. You know, I love basketball, as you can see right here, right there in the shirt. But yeah, I would say that Rangers games early when I was about 4 or 5 kind of dove me in there to really getting into the sports, and I think the love like fully cemented itself when I got into high school because I got more into it. Because once I got into real competitive basketball in high school, playing summer league and playing for the school, you just start keeping up with it more. And that was the on the prime years of Dirk, the prime years of my favorite player LeBron James, and it became that year, and especially when Braun went to Miami, it ended up being Heat versus Mavericks, and I'm over here like my my favorite player versus my favorite team. Oh my goodness! And you've got to be super into it at that point. And people are like, "Well, who are you gonna go for? Are you a Mavericks fan, a real Mavericks fan, or are you gonna pick your favorite player, LeBron James?" And I'm just over here like, I hope everybody has fun. You know, way, whoever wins it, I win either way. And luckily, Mavs won their only championship that year, and still LeBron has 4, so it's a W for me either way it goes. But yeah, it built up the most in high school when I was fully immersed in sports myself. I did it as a kid, but more competitive, and it just made me want to dig into it a little bit more. Conversations started to arise more with my peers and things like that, so I dug into it there, and it's just built ever since. And yeah.
W's in the chat. Second thing I want to, it's a couple things you said a lot in there that I want to dive into a little bit deeper. You mentioned the aspect of the Mavs playing the Heat and Bron being your favorite player, right?
Yeah.
Before I ask that aspect, I just want to say, sidebar again, for those that haven't listened to the game you've called, never actually heard you talk, you hear he has a broadcasting voice. It is absolutely meant to be for broadcasted in TV. Just even when you said Pudge Rodriguez, like the way you said it literally sounded like we were at a baseball game. But back to what I was saying, what was your thought process on how that series went? Because that's one of the main things that people hold against Braun was like, the saying, oh, you got shut down by JJ Barea. What's your thoughts on how that series went? Looking at it at both sides, being that's your favorite team, and then Braun being your favorite player.
I think it's two sides to it. I think at the time, like Braun really hasn't cemented himself in Miami as the number one. He was still kind of ceding to D Wade at the time because I think Wade averaged like 24 in that series. He had already beat the Mavs in the finals before. I think that was a little bit part of the issue there, even though Braun still performed and had some underperforming moments in there. But I think it was also on the other side of the coin, just the Mavericks having elite coaching and Dirk playing at his best. The Mavs just having an elite run, and it was their time. I mean, it's just unfortunate for LeBron at that time for his second trip back to the finals after a really tough time in '07 against the Spurs to have a Mavs team just peaking at the absolute perfect moment and coming back from the deficit that they were to win it in 6, and Dirk just having an unbelievable run, making all the clutch shots, doing everything that he needed to get it done. So I think it's a mix of both of those both of those things. Terry Stotts was instrumental in that, and Rick Carlisle was at his best back in those days. And I think that's the deal there. Ron deserves a little bit of flack there, and he did underperform a couple of times that really would have propelled Miami to at least extend it to 7, if not come away with the championship. But I mean, credit to JJ Barea, a little feisty sucker in there. But they did their thing on the coaching side, and it really gelled. Jason Terry and company all did their thing. Tyson Chandler was a monster in there. So I think it's a combination of both of those things that ended up, turning in the Mavericks' favor to giving them the championship in 6 and giving them their first and only title.
Hey, that's one of people who argue, debate about it all the time. That run that the Mavs had that year from the whiskey and the teams that they had to beat, one of the top tier finals runs all time. You could go into debate of if it was 1, 2, or 3, but it's in that conversation for sure. You mentioned the baseball aspect too. I just wanted to talk about because a lot of people view baseball as boring.
Mm-hmm.
Baseball is boring. It's a dying sport. It used to be America's sport. Now, obviously, most view NFL as America's sport. Do you think the cure to that is to get more people actually to watch a game in person? Because every person, even like the most insane, most passionate, loyal baseball fans, even they say, you got to see it in person. Like, I'll watch it on TV, but in person is
Yeah.
50 times better. Do you think more people have to go out to go watch these games in person for it to change that narrative of it being a boring sport?
I really think it does make a difference, man. And some people are going to complain no matter what. Some folks you can't change, but anybody open to it should go to a game. I mean, it's a great atmosphere. They do a lot in between innings. They make things exciting. It's fun, and I mean, if you have a foul ball pop in your hands, it's suddenly a cool moment, right? I mean, you get to be a part of that baseball experience. But unless you're a fan of the game, somebody who has played before, that'll be easier for you. But it's hard to get some people to just dive into it. But I think the in-person experience will help with every sport. I mean, whatever you're trying to get into, being in that actual environment instead of just seeing it on TV. There are definitely exciting moments on TV that can get you into it, but in there, your physical body in person experience a ball game. It is like none other. It's an out of body experience. Some would say, and it's just a fun time. You gotta be open to the experience as well. If you're closed minded and saying nope, no matter what, I know if I go to this baseball game, I ain't gonna like it no matter what. But just go to a game and it could be the best baseball game of the year. You never know what you're gonna get into. Heck, believe this or not, and it's a shame that it took me this long to get to one of these games, but when I went to my first Mavericks game, the first Mavericks game that I went to was when Dirk hit his 30,000 point mark. I mean, that's one of the it's gonna be in my mind forever. I mean, my first Mavericks game is when our legend, our all-time player, hit 30K. I mean, what are the odds that I show up and he gets that done? He could have fell short that game, and he could have got it the game before when I already bought tickets. But I showed up at the right time and got there and got to experience that moment. I got it on video. It's a crappy video because I was terrible seats, but it's still moments that you need to experience. So I think if you show up to an MLB baseball game, uh, I mean, if you want just fun and don't necessarily care about the ball side, go to a Savannah Bananas game or something. It's going to be electric. They're doing all types of things, but people don't consider that real baseball. That's a different conversation. We'll leave that alone. But just go to an MLB game. It's going to be fun, and I think you'll like the sport a little bit more for it. You maybe won't watch 100+ games during the season, but I think you'll like it a bit more. I think you'll like it a bit more.
Yeah, I agree with that 100%, man. In person for whatever sport typically is
Hmm.
a completely different experience. Even I'd even go to the point of if you go watch golf in person, obviously you can't be as loud as some of these other events.
Yeah.
It's a completely different experience in person for that too. Like in person, it just gives something completely different. For
Yeah.
you, right? I want to go back to the beginning. When did your sports broadcasting journey begin? Where did it start? How did it start? What piqued your interest to be like, hey, I want to actually go do this?
Well, it peaked in college. In college, I got to. That's when I first got behind the microphone. Not necessarily doing like ball games and things like that, but when I got on the radio, I mean, it's a different type of broadcasting, necessarily than my commentating. But that's when it got going. I was doing little things around, like writing for little mini websites, doing NBA stuff, and then I just threw my hat in the ring with the college newspaper. I'm like, check out what I just wrote, and then it introduced me to find a connection to get put on the student show on that campus called Lions After Dark. Shout out to Lions After Dark. I wish it still existed, but I got on there. They had a host at the time. His name was Dakota. And another host, Elizabeth, but the only time that I was there was when Dakota was there. He's the one who brought me on. He called me he called me in to be there on Tuesdays, and he called me. What did he say? Our sports expert or something. And I was just like, that's a heavy title, but I'll come on in and do this thing. So I started popping in with him on Tuesdays, beginning in April, kind of the end of his semester there. And he had walked out after graduating in May, and the door was open for somebody else. And the guy who ran the program, he was listening every night, so he would hear me on Tuesdays when I pop in to talk sports with Dakota and all that. And he was just like, all right, well, Dakota's gone, we need somebody to fill his seat, we think it can be you. And I'm like, okay, well, all right, if you think that, then let's give it a go. And I wanted to do something like that. It seemed like fun. I preferred talking about the sports anyway. Writing was okay, but I like to talk about it and have the conversations, and to have the platform over the air, I was like, why not? And then I dive into this thing. I was in there for 2 years during the Lions After Dark show. We came away with those two awards that you talked about. We got second place our first year nationally and lost to Marshall University in a competition. And I got beef with Marshall for beating us for that. But second year we were in another competition, Texas Intercollegiate Press Association, and we took first program in that. And so we came away with those two awards that year. It was a great experience. It was a great time, and that's the introduction originally into broadcasting. Now, when it came to this, putting on doing these high school games, these college games, and sports commentating, it came as I was also involved with the radio. So they needed somebody to help during the college games. They had this guy named Charlie Chitwood. He's the voice of what is now the East Texas A&M University uh, Lions over there. They used to be Texas A&M University Commerce. So he was doing ball games. He had been there for a little while, and they needed somebody to run the board in the studio. So I was like, okay, I want to get my feet wet, do whatever. So I'm in there running the board for the studio because I already know how to do it during the show. And I'm just some people when they're board operators, they're not listening to the broadcast. Like some of mine right now and some of mine in the past, they don't necessarily listen to me and like get into the game or anything. I'm the total opposite. I was listening very intently. I was a fan of the college. Obviously, that was my school at the time, and he did great on the mic. So I was locked in every game. I wasn't missing commercials or anything, and I was just kind of taking mental notes of how he went about things, and that kind of got me into it. Of course, I listened to sports radio kind of growing up, but never like broadcasts on the radio too much. But he's really kind of what got me into it those early years, and then also the second radio station I ever worked at was in Greenville, Texas, down in East Texas, and I was a board op there too, and doing some other stuff on the side, and they carried Texas A&M University Aggie games too. So I was like, okay, I'll board op for this too, and I do that for a little over a year, so 2 seasons of Aggie football, and by the second season that comes around. As I'm listening to Andrew Monaco, shout out to him. He just got the Texas Broadcaster of the Year award for this year, by the way. Phenomenal guy. And I'm listening to him all the time, and he's doing a great job. And all of a sudden, I'm liking Aggie games as a Longhorn fan. I'm like, am I sick? What's going on? And I reach out to him, and Aggies, they carry the Aggie games on so many different radio stations. Like, the odds of him responding to a message from me, not very high, because there's so many radio stations. But he responds to me. He invites me out to College Station, so I get to come to a live Aggie game and be in the booth with him and check out, their whole operation and listen to an entire game. So I mean, that just amplified it so much more. Again, being at the game, like I know I was in a special spot in the booth. That's a double amplifier there. But getting to be there really like turned it up a notch and like, okay, this is really fun. He's really good at this. I see everything that he's doing. This is exciting. The views are great. The atmosphere is great. This is awesome. I'm glad I got to be here. And this was 2019 when this happened. So did I have necessarily any plans to dive into get on the headset and call some games? Not really. I didn't know how my avenue was going to be to get there because we didn't have that department at my college. So, years go by. I graduate in 2020, middle of pandemic. Like, okay, what are we going to do for a job here? And luckily, it didn't take as long as I thought it was going to post graduation to find a job. I find it about 5 months later, and I started working in a radio station in the town that I was born in Sulphur Springs, Texas. And I get there, and I'm just going to be doing. I was probably going to do some, and I was helping them with the podcast they were doing at the time, and a little bit of sports. I was their sports and podcast director is the title I ended up getting later, and I think it's like a month or two goes by. After the original introduction, they had a guy there that had been doing their broadcast for years, and they had planned to have him back again. Well, fast forward month and a half, 2 months later, whatever, they get in contact with me, like, well, instead of trying you out the next year in 2022, how about you begin this year in 2021? You want to do this thing? You want to start now in 3 months or what? And I'm just like, sure. All right. Let's do it. And so I just started spending the rest of my summer kind of preparing for, being a broadcaster for this first time. Like, okay, who am I going to do this with? I tried to contact one of my good friends from college and to do it with me. He didn't have the time. He couldn't get on over there. So I was like, oh my gosh, am I going to do this by myself this first year? So I keep thinking and thinking, and he tosses me a recommendation. So I find a guy, and we do the first year, and that's how things get on rolling in my first year. And so I do a couple of years there, and I think that by the end of the second year, I've got enough talent to do this at the next level, even though there's still a whole lot to learn. And that's where things jumped off from there. I was like, all right, well, there's an opportunity in South Dakota as I'm searching for months and months through this organization that I'm with now, Sportscasters Talent Agency of America. That's how I found the gig up here. And I just dove into it. Like, it's South Dakota, it's whatever. I've been to a couple other states before, and this is opportunity. This is what I want to do. College is up here. I'm diving into it. Let's go. And I've been up here, back and forth technically for a few years now, almost. And the experience has been an interesting one in some aspects. Other aspects has been very great. But that's how I got into it and how I'm keeping on rolling. And I get to do some baseball every spring as well. There's a tournament, the HBCU Athletic Conference baseball tournament. It jumped back up 3 years ago. I think the first year was 23. So I've done it for 3 seasons now, and it used to be the Gulf Coast Athletic Conference. Now it's the HBCU AC, and I've been the only voice since baseball's come back, and I'm trying to continue that again this year. But that's a long way of telling you how I got started and how it's going.
No, that's a great story and inspirational for those that listen and watch this in the aspect of you started and you didn't know it would end up here, but you just had a love. You just
Hmm.
wanted to be there. You just wanted to be in the
Right.
presence, like you said, in person. I've been
Yeah.
a couple times to see like the in person booth at Rutgers games and seeing for the Rutgers women. I'm like, yo, this is dope, and it's a lot of work that goes on behind the scenes that people aren't aware of. People just think you just get on a mic like, yeah, he scored a three. He scored a free throw. It's a lot more that goes into it. For you being somebody that's in the business and somebody that's studied it, and like you said, you saw that first time at your Texas A&M, you at the game, and like, oh, this is how he did this, and oh, this is how he was successful. What do you feel it takes to be a successful sports broadcaster? And if you could share with some people, a common misconception that people think going into it, like how much work is involved in prep and studying and analytics, and how much does that go into being a successful broadcaster in your eyes?
I think you gotta love the game and you gotta love the work. You can't just come in here and you can't think it's going to be easy because it's not. I mean, I challenge anybody to throw on the headset and try and do what I do and do what we do, and it's just not easy. Like some people have a good voice. Like some people on the radio, they can't pick up a headset and do this. They can do their radio show and all that, but they can't sports broadcast. And so a lot of people will tell you that. But you gotta love the sport. You gotta love sports, and you gotta love the work because there's a lot of work that goes into it. And if you love it, it just makes it that much easier. So every time I put the mic on, it's not work for me. It's love. I love what I do, and I love being able to tell the stories of athletes and be able to um, perform on a daily basis out there on the microphone, paint that picture, and give you guys a good broadcast and make you guys have fun. And it's always a fun atmosphere for me, no matter if it's a losing game or a winning game. Sometimes, like with the voice, it's like because I'm invested in it. Like, so if my team's like getting their butt busted, they're having a terrible game. Sometimes I'll have those moments, but you're feeling it as well. Like you're feeling like the fan side of me inside bringing it out. Like, okay, we're playing a bad basketball game. When I had those moments on Tuesday in that first half of our ball game where it was just like, man, this is probably our worst game of the year so far. And then things turn up and completely flip in the second half. And like you see this shift in what it sounded like in the first half with its excitement and the moments that it needed to totally building in the second half and into overtime. So I mean, it's a lot of work, and a lot of times I over prepare. I think over preparing is better than just being prepared, and especially under preparing, obviously. So if you got plenty of materials, you're ready for anything. If there's an injury and you need to fill time, you got notes right there to talk about forever, because there's not a whole lot of time in radio that you can stuff in those notables that you took that are right beside you right in there. There's so many things that I've got beside me every game that don't get said, that could get said, that should be said, but I can't just force it in there for the sake of forcing it in there for my agenda. Like, it's about the ball game, it's about the players, it's about the story, it's about painting the picture, especially in the world of radio. But yeah, you got to be dedicated to it. I mean, it's no easy thing, and you got to be prepared for bad conditions too. And that's what I learned up here, especially in South Dakota. You had some in Texas. I've even broadcasted a football game from the track, So and I was on the phone because our equipment couldn't connect because of where I was, because we didn't have a plug to plug in to charge up and turn the thing on. So I've had all different types of atmospheres I've had to broadcast from. So you got to be prepared for that too. Sometimes you'll have the nice shiny booth where the school takes care of it and they got a nice broadcast booth for you. And sometimes you got the most rundown thing ever that just has a plug and barely any table for you. And you got to make it work. And if you love the game, you go through it. There's maybe little complaints along the way. I had a situation a couple of years ago when I was at Mayville, North Dakota. Oh, gosh. And I was in their broadcast booth for a football game. If you look at this football stadium, you'll be like, they play football here? And then when you walk in the broadcast booth, they're like, people still use this thing? So I was stuffed over there in the corner right by the door, and it was that time of year where it was cold. But this room, it had these bugs called no-see-um bugs. I had never heard of them before, and I was like, "What is this thing?" And they bite so hard, and there were just so many. Like, you would turn and look at the door, a ton of no-see-um bugs on the door. They're flying around all around me. I'm getting bit in my leg, getting bit in my thigh, getting bit on my neck, my face sometimes, and just broadcasting through it. We ended up losing the game, so that didn't make it any better. But you have those conditions sometimes, and sometimes you don't have a place to put your papers or your scorebook if you're doing that, or if football, you got a drive chart like I do. Sometimes you got to have your equipment, your box that your stuff came on. That's where your papers have to go, and to do it that way. Sometimes you're straight up in the stands, and you have to be out there in the cold conditions, and your hands are freezing. My first playoff game in football, it was one of the coldest nights that I had in Texas. We were out there. I don't remember if I even had gloves on, but we were in a broadcast stadium, but we weren't in the enclosed booth. They put us in an area where the camera people are, so we had to set up a table. So we got all the breeze out there in that game. And did we end up winning? No. What is it? Bad conditions. Drew can't win a game in those. I don't know what it is. I could at least win in those scenarios, but no, I don't get blessed like that. But you do have those conditions that are not going to be favorable for you all the time. So you have to be able to take in all those elements and know you're not going to be in a bougie booth when you go on out there. And some people are barely going to have a table for you to set up on. It's going to be sometimes a burden getting a hold of some coaches, because some coaches don't check their email, they don't check their text, they don't respond sometimes. And sometimes it's lackadaisical behavior, and sometimes it's just they're overly busy and they can't get to it. But it's all those things that you have to be ready for in the broadcast world that are going to come your way. A lot of it I didn't know of until I got up into South Dakota, because in my place at Sulphur Springs in Texas, where I first started, it was easy. Like, I was with the school, and we could get a hold of the other team for the most part, no problem. And whatever conditions, they weren't so bad. It's just that one time on the track mostly. And the only problem that I had in Sulphur Springs is there were three broadcast teams, and we were the third by my second year. At first, it was just two radio stations. We were second fiddle, but third year, a media team comes in and gets the video rights. They're number one. The other radio station's number two, and we're number three. So we don't get the booth. We get whatever conditions that they can make for us. So that's what I had to deal with in year two when I wasn't at home. When I was at home, lovely. Great high school stadium. I've been back there once and been a part of a broadcast since I left, and I miss that stadium to this day. It was just as spoiled as you can be for high school football. It's excellent. But yeah, all those elements come into broadcasting. Like, you're gonna have those fantastic moments, and you're gonna have those moments you're like, man, we can barely get anything done. I don't have any room to put any papers down, and you're just gonna be calling the game probably. So It's all that comes with it, and all the fantastic parts. So you deal with some of the bumps in the road to deal with some of the great that goes along with it, the good, the great, the fantastic. And ever since I come up to South Dakota, I have gotten to call a state championship football game, a state championship basketball game, a Division 1 basketball game, Division 2 volleyball, Division 2 soccer, and a lot of different things that I've gotten to be a part of lately. And it's been great experiences. I almost won a championship in March this last year, almost. But you know, if you quit because of your conditions or because of the new radio station you get to be at or whatever, you don't get to experience those moments. If you back out on things, you don't give it a chance. You just gotta keep fighting the good fight and going on through, and you will bear fruit as time goes along. But be prepared to need to love the work and love the game. I think you gotta do that to survive in this industry.
Love the work, love the game. That's definitely going to be the title of this episode here. A lot of people don't really realize and understand that aspect. And when you start seeing that, a lot of people fall off,
Yeah.
which is why they say, like, if you in most spaces, 10% of people don't make it past a year. 15%, like start
All
seeing
right.
those numbers. Typically, people, because what people don't really realize and understand is you don't start immediately broadcasting the Lakers game when LeBron breaks the
Uh
record
huh.
like that. It doesn't just it
Don't
doesn't
work like that.
start. It don't work like that. The people that's calling those games were doing what you were doing 9 times out of 10. Obviously, we know those cases where people have a little bit of pull and politics and things of that nature may come into the play, but for the most part, everybody else in this world, yeah, you're gonna have to start off with everything that Drew was talking about right there.
Yeah.
I want to ask you this before we get into some of the storylines for the NBA season, though. For you, being in it, growing up, your earlier stages, who were some in that space that you looked up to, that you tried to, take from mentors in that specific space?
In broadcasting,
Yes, sir.
yeah. Um, I would say anybody that I've ever been a board out for, I would say, and some of the guys that I watch on TV. Football maybe less so, oddly enough, and just I watch far more basketball broadcasts than football. Not that I don't watch football or watch any baseball or anything like that, but basketball is just it's the heartbeat. It's the pulse. I mean, it's what it is. And so the guys that I would say are immediate reference points for me. I've even stolen some of their stuff. Hopefully, it's not trademarked. Mike Breen. I'm sorry if I took your bang and it is trademarked. I like to borrow that from time to time. But Mike Breen is one of those people for sure. The iconic bang call. He's gotten to be a part of some of the biggest games in NBA history, and he's a staple. Everybody knows that. The broadcaster. If you ask anybody, like, what broadcaster do you know that call NBA? They're going to say Mike Breen because they're going to remember the bang calls for the Steph Curry shots from half court. They're going to remember the game winners that he calls, the Kevin Durant shots, the block by James that it's going to be iconic for years and years and years and into the beyond there. But Mike Breen definitely one of those people. He's very instrumental in what I like in basketball broadcasting. He's very consistent, and he's got that iconic call that everybody has. I don't have one, unfortunately. That's why I end up borrowing. I've tried to test the waters with something before, and guys, anybody out there's got any ideas for me, throw it my way. I'm more than willing to test it. But I can't take credit for Bang by any means. Nobody can, but Mike Breen. But it certainly fits the bill anytime you utilize it out there. Mike Breen is one. Another one that I have I try to use frequently because he's very creative. And that is Mark Jones. Mark Jones in the NBA space. He comes in with some of the most unique quotes and sayings that I've ever heard of. And when he says it a lot of times, I'm just like, what is this from? I have never heard what he's talking about, but I like what he just said. Say it again. Uh, but he comes in with all types of things. I've said something he said before recently in a sports game for my Mitchell team. Not always there when you call, but always on time. And it came in the end of I think it was a football game. A guy got an interception or something like that. And I did something the other day for a basketball game. I can't remember which one, but he is so unique as a broadcaster. There's none like Mark Jones. There's none like Mark Jones by any means. He comes in with the ultimate references. He comes in with the ultimate unique phrases all the time, and he is consistent as well. Excuse me, he is consistent as well. His consistency is going into whatever sport that he's doing, whether he's thrown into a college football game, he's got Sacramento Kings basketball, or he's doing a primetime NBA game. Like, he's always going to be electric. He's always going to give you something you probably haven't heard or throw back to something he hasn't said in a while. He is a very, very, very good broadcaster. Him and Mike Breen are two of the ones that I really like out there. And I guess if I'm stacking up a Mount Rushmore, I'm putting them on it for sure. And if I'm reaching the guys that aren't on the mainstream that everybody knows of, aren't the national TV guys, don't have an NBA team, NFL team, whatever. Honorable mention to Al Michaels and all those guys over there. But I would throw in the guys that I was born out for when I was in college. I would say Charlie Chitwood at my former college where I'm an alumni of. He is a very, very exciting guy and brings things to life very well for that school. And the original introduction into making me interested in doing this in the first place was him. So I throw him up there as well. And then Andrew Monaco Sr. Andrew Monaco, not only bringing me to that Aggie game, which really kind of changed my perspective on a lot of things and really, made me have a whole lot of love for the broadcasting. He's just solid all the way around. Just he's never too high, never too low in like what he's doing, and he's very all around in what he can put out there. He's done the professional world before. He used to do Spurs, and now he's just dominating with the Aggies. And you see when he's given his first real national stage, when the Aggies are a top team and make the college football playoff, he gets the honor that he deserved in Texas Broadcaster of the Year. I encourage anybody, whether you're an Aggie fan or not, to listen to a game that the Aggies are involved in. And if you can turn on the radio and turn on the Aggie broadcast, listen to Andrew Monaco. He's definitely someone to listen to. And if you like the small Division I colleges as well, dive into East Texas A&M. Listen to a radio broadcast on KETR and listen to Charlie Chitwood. Those are some guys that are very good and have been doing this for a while. And those are some guys that I recommend you listen to. But those are four that really inspire me on the national and the personal side. So those kind of help me mold into what I do. And I obviously throw in my little flair and be me. Of course, when a broadcast is me, and if I'm sometimes taking a piece from someone else. But I always incorporate what I do into some of what they do. So a lot of times it's hard to even talk about like who inspires you because I take little bits from everybody, man. But those are probably the big four, if I could pick, that I've been inspired by and taken little pieces of over the years to mix in with my own thing.
That reminds me of a quote Kobe said when he talked about sometimes when he saw certain players like the T-Max of the world, or he might have saw Ray Allen and people of that, in that space that was on that level. Somebody asked, I forgot what the question was to ask, but he responded saying, yeah, basically what I call it is swagger jacking. I take a little bit from Ray. I take a little bit from T-Mac. Take some from D-Wade. Go back in the lab. Try to add it to my game. Figure it out. Boom, boom, boom. Same exact thing you're doing. The same thing I do. Podcast. Oh,
absolutely.
Oh, he did that. Okay, they have that intro. Okay, that's how they ask that question. All right, let me see how I could spin that and put it as me. So I think for anybody that's in any space that's a creative, that's creating, you're picking the best ones are seeing what is being done well and from anybody and seeing how then I can imply and put that into what I'm doing and make it mine.
Yep.
What can I do with that?
Absolutely.
So I think that's very vital, and that's a part of being successful in that space of being a creative in general. On the NBA side, what do you feel is a player or a team that is not getting talked about, that is not being, shared in the mass media, storyline, team or player that you think needs to be talked about more?
Ooh, oh man. If I could go to a team, and I haven't watched a lot of their basketball this season, but I'm surprised to see where they are because I did check out recently. Even though most of the time, while they've been in the news, it's been about this man's hair getting on everybody's jersey. But the Boston Celtics still being able to do what they're doing without Jason Tatum. Everybody thought this team was going to fall off the face of the earth, and I think right now they're sitting in second in the Eastern Conference. So they've been able to put things together consistently. I don't think they've added Anthony Simons to their rotation. He hasn't been completely maybe what they had hoped for, but he's added little sparks. But Peyton Pritchard's played phenomenal. Derek White's being Derek White, and Jalen Brown's taken over the number one mantle right now. And surprisingly enough, a little bit for me, maybe not for a lot of people. Celtics still in the thick of things and can maybe win a playoff series, yet and still without Jason Tatum, and they might get him back. I hear that's insane to think about that this man, has that big injury like he does. We see the videos, and he might try to come back this season. Ugh. It's crazy, but the Celtics, and give credit to Joe Mazzulla for being able to put together something like this and have a team continue to win basketball games like this. Always in the upper echelon of the East, but at full strength usually. And now they're without their best player. I mean, they still have a Finals MVP on their roster, yeah, but you didn't think the team was still going to be able to do like this. Maybe middle of the pack East at best, and at their worst bottom and play in. But right now they're playing at their best, and right there, right beside the Pistons. Pistons are playing great basketball. That's another team that's maybe not talked about enough, which is weird to say for a team that's number one in the East. But it's a young group that was terrible recently, and even with Cade Cunningham in the mix last year, wasn't anything to really talk about. Like, sure, they'll get it eventually. They don't have it now, but they'll get it eventually. And they got it now at the top. And they're without Jalen Duren right now, and they had a big win the other day without him. And I thought that was insane that they're able to win the way that they are without one of their best players out there too. So those are a couple of teams that maybe need to give more credit to at the top. Like they are at the top, but Pistons hadn't heard from them in a while being any type of relevant team. Now it's time to give them their flowers for doing what they're doing. We'll see if it can turn into playoff success, but also those Celtics out there who without Jason Tatum are still giving you big problems in the East at the top of the standings over there. Another one, which is going to sound weird, but I would say LeBron James at 41. 41, still performing at a level that some people can't even reach on their best day in their prime. It's insane. I know he's not playing every single game or anything like that. He had the back issue to start the season, and he's got his old man moments. But when he's out there performing, he's performing at 41. 41, and he's just hooping like he could still get the all NBA nod if he could play enough games. And I hate that limit that's going to take it away from him probably if he misses another one, but he's just playing at that level at 41, man. I mean, I know he just turned it, less than a couple of weeks ago, but still, I mean, it's crazy to think. We think about the 41-year-olds in the past in the NBA, like they're old as dirt. They're barely touching the basketball. Dirt could hardly move when he was old, and LeBron James is out there being young, windmill dunking, and just everything blocked by James doing the chase down still, and it's just phenomenal to see. So it's weird because I'm not talking about underdog teams that need to be talked about more, and just saying give credit to the top dogs who we kind of didn't expect to rise as high as they did, and whoever didn't expect LeBron James, I guess, to still be LeBron James, even though he's 41. I guess we got to wake up and smell the coffee or whatever, but it's incredible.
Two things, right? So I'm sure you saw it over social media. You heard a little bit on it with the ESPNs and the Fox Sports. There was discussions like, "Oh, Bron starting off with the injury. Are we seeing the end? Is he going to fall off a cliff?" The first couple of games, as if he's supposed to come in and drop 45 from day one. Everybody else got to ramp it up. When we talk about even Jason Tatum at the younger age, hey, if he comes back this year, he's going to need 10, 15 games to ramp up. When Bron comes in, we forgot the 10, 15 games that he need to ramp up to. Nah, first couple games. Oh, Bron, it might be
Yeah,
the end. It might be the end. Bruh, that speaks to his
yeah,
greatness, though. At 41, they're expecting still. They want him to be all defensive.
yes.
They want him to come in first game
Hmm.
after not playing 15 plus games. Hey, we need you to drop 25, 8 and 8. Go hit 3 game winners. Like, bruh, come on. That speaks to his greatness. What are
Yeah,
we
the
do? What are
expect
we doing here?
absolutely, man. The expectations are just through the roof for LeBron James. Nothing he can do will ever be good enough for certain people, even though he's always doing greatness on and off the court. It's just something that he'll never be able to avoid, whether it's his last year or he's got one more year, whatever it is. They're still gonna have that bar for LeBron James and find something to complain about. But yet and still the king. doing his thing out there.
And on the Celtics side too, right? I predicted that they would be a top 16 because the East is typically so weak. Because
Hmm.
they have a system. Is it the best system? Maybe you could, argue about that, but they have a system. We're gonna get these threes up. We're gonna play D, try to turn you over. Threes and layups. That's our system. We still have some of our core pieces here. Derek White gonna get his shots up. Peyton Pritchard gonna get his shots up. Jalen Brown. The concern really I saw with them is, they lose Porzingis. They don't have Horford.
Hmm.
I didn't expect this either. I said top 16. Joe Mazzulla's still a good coach. Hey, they could in the East, they could still be a top six. Top
Yeah.
two, top three. No, Joe
No.
Mazzulla is definitely got to be in that conversation for Coach of the Year. I don't think he'll win it, but you got to give him his
Right.
flowers. Like you said, you got to give them flowers for what they're doing and where they are at currently. Nobody, maybe BMO the Prince. Outside of BMO, I don't know anybody that was
Yeah.
predicting or expecting. Hey, top two seed.
Right.
What when Tatum come back, we'll be top two, top three seed. He could patiently work himself in and maybe we go get a championship this year.
Bull.
Nobody expected that at all. So before we go into our fourth quarter segment, I want to ask you this for those that's watching, for those that are listening on the playback and is saying, you know what, I have an interest in sports broadcasting. I'm inspired by his story. I'm inspired by everything he shared in his journey and where he's at and how 250 broadcasts. He's a two-time award winning. We can see the work is actually paying off. What advice would you give to them? One piece of advice for somebody that wants to get into that business.
I would say just do the work, man. Just do the work. Just do the work because the work is never going to stop. Whether it's preparation or training yourself to get better each and every year, just don't be afraid to do the work. And love the game and do the work. And just bringing it back up again. Love the game and do the work. And I mean that like you really have to. And just if you're dedicated to it, like you want to do it, just chase that dream and go after it, man. Like I said, I didn't expect to necessarily be in this spot. But when the door opened, I ran right through it, man. I ran right through it, and whether the opportunity opened up in South Dakota or Texas, I still ran to my opportunity. There have been a lot of bumps in the road, and I've had a flat tire or two, but I keep on trucking along because I love what I do. I love what I do, and the more you love what you do, you'll never work a day in your life. That's that quote out there that everybody has heard all the time, and it's true. It's true. There's some aspects where I would prefer to just do broadcasting all the time, and I wish it was that ideal. Maybe one day I'll be there. It's just broadcasting, no radio, no writing, no nothing. But I'm not lucky enough to be there yet, and you got to kind of earn your stripes along the way. I am lucky enough to be where I am right now. Like some people aren't this far in 5 years. Some people are still doing high school. Some people are only doing football at this point. But whatever your path is, stick to it, and you can get to where you want to go if you love the game and do the work.
I think that's great right there. Love the game, do the work, and that's whatever field you want to go into. So if you're watching this, and I have no desire to do sports broadcasting, whatever you want to do, you're gonna have to do the work and love what you do, where then it becomes not being work. Fourth quarter segment. I love always asking, no matter the guest, a food related question because I love to eat myself.
Hmm.
What's your all time favorite meal?
All-time favorite meal is something you might not have heard before. It is called spaghetti alla carbonaro. Yes, it is an Italian dish. It's delicious. You have Parmesan cheese in it. You got eggs. You got milk. You got bacon in that thing. So you crumbled up bacon in it. And let's see, what ingredient am I missing? Anything? I'm not sure. Oh, I put seasoning blend in it. Seasons to taste, of course. You got to season your food out there, folks. But spaghetti alla carbonaro. It's an Italian dish. You can also put white wine in it if you want to. If you're that type of person that likes to put the wine in it. But number one, it's a spaghetti dish. I'm a pasta. You know what? But I love me some spaghetti alla carbonaro for sure. Spaghetti alla carbonara is how it you would if you would search it like that. I know it's hard to tell when I'm doing it in the Italian accent, but yeah, it's very good, very good.
Give me Italian food any day of the week. That's one of my
Yeah, yeah, man.
favorite.
First time I made that for my girl, she was like, "All right, I see why you like this so much." And yeah, it's the bomb.com.
I'm gonna have to check that one out. I haven't heard of that specific dish. That's Italian dish, but I haven't tried everything Italian either. I'm gonna have to check that out. Add that to the repertoire. Something that I might end
Yeah,
up,
shoot,
cooking.
I can send you the recipe.
Oh, say less. Say
I got
less.
you. I got. I want to hook you up the right way with the good mixtures, how we put it together. And if you want to throw wine in there, you do your own thing. But I got you.
Appreciate it. Do you have a pregame routine before you on air? On air?
Um, I do not have a specific routine yet. I just try to lock in. I just try to lock into the moment. I mean, I know if you remember, like before every game, Steph Curry he'll tweet that out or post it on social media to lock in before the game, and that's kind of what I do. My routine is just before. I mean, and I guess when I'm there, it's just you kind of lock into the moment. Make sure my everything I've got out is ready to go. My book is filled in with the names, positions, and starters and everything like that. My drive chart is ready during football. I just try to make sure I've got all my materials, and I don't have to print everything out, but I do. I print it all out. I like to have my physical things there so I can grab and reference instead of always having to work through a computer because internet could go down at any time, and I don't need to rely on that. I like to have the physical right there for me. So I guess that's part of it. My preparedness before every game. But as far as routine goes, just always being prepared, just being as prepared as I can. All the time. I don't have like a breathing routine. I don't have like a voice thing that I go over. I don't have anything that I specifically watch before anything like that. And maybe I should. I don't know. But I just try to lock in and focus on the moment, know what I've got to do, and deliver as best I can.
I'm the same way in regards of physical. My wife makes fun of me all the time. I'm still writing stuff down. You could type it. I still want to write it
Yep.
down on paper, have it physically to
Yep.
like, just in case internet. And I don't know, just in general, it's just something different when you're writing it down. You have the physical piece of paper with the information. Like when I go do Rutgers games, I
Hmm.
love they print out. They print out the this is this player, this is how much they're averaging, this is this the other team. I love that. Give me that physical, the physical paper, the 40 pages of every
Yeah.
single detail. Give me that every single day of the week, and I could, you write up on it. All right, I like this. Take this piece
Yep.
of information. That's that's just me. Maybe I'm old school in that way.
Oh yeah, and a little nugget for anybody in broadcasting out there. Starting off, I recommend using a scorebook to keep up with the game. Especially if you're doing radio, it's difficult to do both at the same time to keep track of your scorebook and call the game. And like I did a game earlier this week on Thursday, and I was sitting right at the scorer's table, had my book calling in on the radio for our game of the week. And this lady that was doing a book right beside me was like, I don't know how you talk and keep the scorebook at the same time. And like she even had to get in my book to catch something that she missed earlier. So like once you get into the rhythm with it, it's fun and it makes it easier. And like in football, I recommend a drive chart if you can. Keep something. It's hard to keep stats if you're a solo person doing it. You can have your analyst keep stats or something like that. But I recommend having a scorebook out there or a drive chart or something to have something to reference. You can bring up this drive with 7 plays, 93 yards down the field for a touchdown and a missed extra point. Referencing those back that people don't always get the drives and stuff is always pretty cool. And then obviously you're keeping the scores, updating fouls, timeouts, and things like that. The scorebook is very good for radio. You don't have to do it with video because you usually have some live stats or something with your live stream. But if you want to do it all the time, bring it with you for a video stream as well. But scorebooks pretty solid all the time.
Most definitely. Be a raw commentator for a year or host WrestleMania for a year. Which would you prefer?
We're getting into the wrestling, oh buddy. That's very tough, man. Because WrestleMania is the biggest PLE of the year. Everybody's looking forward to WrestleMania all year long. Road to WrestleMania. I think we're like 98 days away from WrestleMania in Vegas. By the way. Oh man, and WrestleMania is now a 2-day event, all day thing. Do I get to do both days, or am I just one day of WrestleMania now?
Both days, of course.
Oh man, so I'm Michael Cole in this thing. Oh my god. Ooh, that makes it harder, bro. Ooh. Do I have hold on. I was gonna write this down on matter of fact, here it is. Here, I'm gonna do it right now. I'm gonna make sure am I allowed to do this? Am
Yes, of
I
course.
allowed to do this? I plead the Oh, come on, don't blur. Oh, there it is. Can it? Do
It
you see
came
it?
through. I saw.
Ah! I'm trying. Do I need a sharpie? I got a sharpie. I can't reach it. Ah, where's it at? Sharpie. Plead. I pleaded. I should have got the sharpie the first time. I knew better.
I plead the fifth for those listening. He says he pleads the fifth. Yup, there you
Fifth.
go.
Fifth. I plead the fifth. Fifth. F-I-F fifth. One, two, three, four, fifth.
For those that Chappelle Show fans, y'all know
Oh,
where
I
that's
guess I'll
from.
have. Yeah.
Y'all know where that's from.
I
If
guess
y'all
I gotta give an
Chappelle's fan.
answer. Uh, I will take Raw commentator for a year, just because I get to be on Raw on Netflix for a year, and maybe I can eventually earn my way to WrestleMania. I don't know, but that's such a hard question because I get to call wrestling for a year versus just 2 nights, but it's the biggest nights of the year. I don't know. I'll stick with the Raw one. Some people are like, you don't want to do WrestleMania? Okay, see, the thing is, if I get to do the Raw commentating for a year, I get to do the Raw after WrestleMania, which is really great as well. But it's tough. Getting to do something for a year, be in wrestling for a year, you get your name out there. I might eventually earn a WrestleMania, but uh, part of me is like, why'd you just say that? You know you want to do WrestleMania for both nights. Like, what's wrong with you? We'll go Raw commentator, though.
Staying in wrestling. Star bench cut. The Rock, John Cena, Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Ugh. You always pick the tough start bench cuts, don't you? This is ridiculous here. Oh gosh. Well, since one person is my goat, he's got to be the start, and that's John Cena. Shout out to Cena in that retirement tour. He should have been done better, but that's my goat in wrestling. The rest of it, this is hard because we know what a staple that Stone Cold was, but also The Rock started off as one of my favorite wrestlers. I don't think people. I don't know if everybody's gonna like this one, but maybe the thousands in attendance will. I'm gonna bench The Rock and cut Stone Cold. Benching The Rock and cutting Stone Cold.
I'm intrigued to get this
Sorry,
clip out
fans.
and see
That's what it is.
and see everybody's
Start John
opinion on it
Cena, bench The Rock, cut Stone Cold.
because all three have cult level followings. All three have cult level
Wrestling
followings.
fans don't come after me. I already know.
They are all huge and impactful
I'll
for the
get
story of
insane.
wrestling to what we have today. So most definitely. All right. Now I don't know if we're gonna have a season because they still on their nonsense over there, Kathy and the crew. But going into the next season, what player do you think in the W deserves should be or deserves a MVP campaign next year?
See, I was gonna point this out. You said deserves, but added in the should be. Can I answer both?
Yes.
Okay. Deserves, even though she won't be healthy for a full season, Nafisa Collier. She deserves to get an MVP. She's been playing phenomenal, but the Asia Wilsons of the world will take that away from you. Um, so Nafisa Collier. I would also say Alyssa Thomas, who's also been in the running for years and years and just hasn't been able to get it. I mean, without the Asia Wilsons, Nafisa Collier is in her way. I mean, she would have one by now. Should let's just go a young MVP. Paige Beckers, give her something. Give her a team to work with, and she's got the type of talent to do it at a young age. I had another should. Who was my other should? I think that was it for my should, but or sorry, that was deserves. Should Asia Wilson again, because she's just the best in the world, by far. Um, uh, Fee won't have enough of a year to say should, so we can't say that there. Um, man, I don't know on the rest of them. I don't know because it just depends on what kind of year they have. A lot of people would say Caitlyn should or whatever, but I don't know. I think she'll be a
It's
part of it again while she's healthy, but I don't know.
it's so tough because, like you said, it's the Michael Jordan effect.
Hmm.
Hey, unless Asia Wilson decides she want to go do some baseball, she want to go do softball.
Yeah.
It's gonna be tough for anybody else to actually get that MVP award.
I remembered my should because of where she is now. Kelsey Plum. Probably. If she get healthy up in LA to turn things up, Kelsey Plum could have some type of breakout year. But I man, it's really hard to kind of to break it down from the ones that have always kind of been in the conversation. You know, a healthy Stewie is always going to be in it as well. So all the ones that are always in the conversations, I'm interested to see who's going to break into it. I think like like a Paige, like I said, she's such a phenomenal, solid player as a young player. She's one of those that's put together very early and is just going to be so dominant when she grows into this league a bit more. She just needs help out there. Dallas needs help from top to bottom. That's such another conversation that I can't get into because Dallas just stresses me out. Used to cover the doggone team, and here we are back to where we started. It feels like, but well, yeah, I see Kelsey Plum. If she had a big enough year being in the MVP conversations, no doubt about it. And I'm very interested to see how Golden State does again this year, and all the other teams that are going to be into the mix. But it deserves, like we said, Alyssa Thomas, Fee, and Paige arguably should be in this year. Some of the same people, Asia again, as long as she's healthy, and yeah, I think it's mostly the same people. Oddly enough, I figured I was gonna have a different combo there for both of those answers, but I circled back and ended up picking the same one. So I'm sorry, guys, I didn't help you very much there. I should have just answered the question.
All good. We got two more before we end off the show. And again, we appreciate you taking time out of your schedule. We talked about it earlier, some of the surprises in the season early on. Who's your NBA Finals prediction? Who wins it? Who makes it?
Hmm. Well, it seems kind of chalky when I was thinking about it. I think I've got a head and heart answer. Hopefully, I won't mess this one up. Heart says Lakers, Pistons. Heart says Lakers, Pistons. Head, unfortunately, says Thunder, Pistons. I think the Pistons can make it on either way, on each side of the coin. As long as everybody's healthy, I think they can make it. Winning it, though, the heart is a biased answer. I want the Lakers to win it, so LeBron can get a fifth ring and Luka can get his first. That's a very biased one. Heck, the whole answer for it being heart might be biased because of those reasons anyway. But no, they're playing really well this season, and they very well could have a nice run to make it in, especially once Austin gets back, healthy, having the year that he's having. So hard answer: Lakers versus Pistons. Lakers get the W. Cade has his first appearance in the finals. Plays really, really well, but Pistons lose it in 6 to the Lakers. Head as it's just you know the Thunder are just so doggone good. It's hard to keep them out of the finals. I think they make it back versus the Pistons. And sorry, Pistons, either way, I've got you in there and I've got you losing. Thunder win it again. Probably take the Pistons down in the same amount of games in 6. So I got Pistons making it either way it goes and losing either way it goes. But I didn't want to say the Thunder, but it just I don't know. Shea's got an unbelievable whistle right now. He's got a whistle that Steph Curry should have, and he's being cradled all the way into another finals probably, and maybe another MVP. I don't know, but they just seem on pace to make it again. And I'm hoping the Pistons can have some type of miracle run to get them to the finals. That would be very exciting for the city of Detroit and show what they can do going forward.
That would be huge for Detroit. Definitely, especially if you're talking about Tatum comes back. That would be it's the East, and we don't know. Trade deadline is coming up still,
Yeah,
but
there's a lot of moves that can still happen.
a lot of moves that could happen. So if they're able to make it, that would be dope. And then we'll be looking at that following season. Like, does Detroit? Are they here now? Are they like a bunch of different tentacles that will come from that right there? I'm gonna ask for you to end off the show with this question. Now, some may say that the question I'm about to ask you already answered it with your, take on saying SJ being cradled with his whistle because
Mm.
that's going to upset some Thunder fans, especially on Threads. What is your hottest sport take?
Oh, unfortunately, I'm not great with these. Um, I think I'm probably just gonna stick with the SGA being babied, man. Like that whistle is unreal. Like the best of the best NBA players that we know have not breathed a whistle like he gets, and he's a very good player. He's an all NBA level player, but that whistle is insane. Like I can't remember what replay I was watching recently of him like fading away on the baseline. Dude did not touch him, and they blew that whistle so fast, and I just could not comprehend what was going on. He was ball up here in his hand down here, nowhere near touching him, and the whistle blows. It just blows my mind to see some of his calls. And if you're piggybacking on him, I don't know what to tell you. Or you're just an avid Canadian who loves them some SGA. You are I don't know, some type of biased fan, but you got to acknowledge how bad that whistle is. When you look and see what he's getting and what Steph Curry is not getting, you can't tell me that he's not getting a benefit of the whistle and over benefited his whistle, man. Come on. I just want him to be a normal NBA player, get a get an all-star whistle at least, but he's getting Michael Jordan, LeBron James, Steph Curry, Dwayne Wade, all them players combined type whistle. Like middle of the Jordan rules times three type whistle. Like, uh, you paid me off before the game type whistle. I don't understand type whistle. What is going on type whistle? I am going to hand you a second MVP and another trip to the finals type whistle. Do I want you to average 35 to 40 points a game type whistle? I don't understand. I don't understand.
Hey, you said you're not good at these. That was cinema right there. That was that was that was beautiful. That was a hot take if there ever has been one that I know people are going to be upset because one of the things that they say is like, oh, that they try to use for proof is he's not even leading the league in free throw attempts, and every foul that he gets doesn't turn into free throws. So that's kind of a skewed
Hmm.
way to back up your claim that he doesn't get a beneficial whistle. Yeah, this is that was beautiful. That was
Man,
that was
I'm.
chef's kiss.
Oh my goodness. I hope they understand a little bit more after watching this. That it's just unreal. It's unreal.
Hey, one of the things you mentioned throughout the episode is the importance of making sure that you're prepared, that you have your notes, that you're ready to be successful for whatever you're doing in life. And you know that's the vibe here at the BME podcast. If you stay ready, you don't got to get ready. Bench mob, I'm out. Peace.